Hey guys, welcome to the master class. My name is Peter Hahn and this is Dynamic Sketching. For those of you guys that are joining me, this is a very basic, early, foundational class. It's to help you teach, basically just learn basic drawing techniques. This is all VizDev, visual communication. Learning how to see things real simply and being able to break them down so that you could put them on paper. It helps you build speed, confidence, and basically just teaches you basic drawing skills. If you're going to be in the entertainment industry, gaming, film, advertising, whatever, even product design or trans, it all comes down to drawing, basic drawing. And if you can't do that, no matter how good your ideas can be, if you can't put them on paper in front of someone, then there's no real use for you. So learn to draw really well. Spend as much time as you can. For me, I started drawing since I was 5. And it has been nonstop, and I still constantly practice every day. And if you don't, it's all about mileage, and that's a really big key and word is mileage. I mentioned this before in my workshop, that word, because people say it's like natural talent, people are just gifted. It's not that. It's all about mileage. Anybody can learn this. It's all about how much dedication you put into it. So for this class, there's a very limited materials list that I'm going to have you guys only use. I don't have any on here for you guys to see, but we'll post up some images. But the basic list is brown paper. It can be thick or thin. There's an earthbound sketchbook or a thicker like cardboard kind of paper. But as long as it's a toned brown paper, you should be okay. Why does it have to be toned and brown? So that it's kind of like a medium tone. So you can go higher in value and darker in value. The second is also a pen, and it's a very specific pen. I don't want you guys using ballpoints or any other kind of pen where you can feather with it, kind of like a pencil. It needs to be a felt tip, high flow. Basically, the thing about the pen is when you're drawing with it and you mess up, you'll know. So the thing with the pen is going to help you build confidence so that your lines are exactly what you want them to be. You will be messing up. This is a hard class, and I'm not going to trick you or anything like that. This is a difficult thing to learn. And it took me about a solid year to really grasp and understand what I'm basically trying to teach you guys. So don't feel like you're lagging behind or anything like that, or you feel like you're failing. You do have to fail so that you can learn. And the thing about the pen is that it will show you your failures. Of course, as we go along with the class, I'll show you more in terms of how to harness and bring in your sketching techniques with the pen so you can control it a little better. The third and fourth thing are basic markers, warm value or cool. I prefer warm. It looks better on that toned paper. You can go with Prismacolors, Trias, Copics. Most of these materials you should be able to find anywhere, any art stores that are local to you or even online. Lastly is a white gel pen. Now with the white you can either go with gouache, which is a paint base. Sharpie makes a water-based, basically a poster paint pen, or any kind of, basically a gel pen that's just white. That's going to be your highlights. The markers are going to be your value, going down in value for your tones, and the pen is just basically just your sketching tool. When it comes to the white, and that's something I'm going to be reinforcing every class, is that your white, even your markers too, are just materials for you to use to support your sketch. They should never overtake your sketch. So the pen will always be primary. Today, we're only going to be going over very basic, early things for you guys to practice. Every class here on out is still going to be, this is almost like a boot camp, this first section. And if you guys can't pass this, then I don't recommend you guys going any further. I would practice this as much as you can until you can be confident enough with the stuff that we're going to be doing in this class first before you move on. It'd be great if you guys can work with me. So when I'm drawing on the board, anything that goes on this board, you put down on paper. Now, when I teach this class, I actually like to draw on this chalkboard a lot. It's very different. It works the opposite. When you're working on paper, obviously you're going dark to light. With this, you got to go light to dark. Again, anything I put up, please put them down. Copy, just like I'm putting it up here. Now, for basically every class we're going to go through, each one will be a specific exercise that helps you develop your sketching skills more and more. For today, we're going to go over the basic handling of the material when you're using your pen. '90-degree angle. Your pen should be straight up. Don't angle it, turn it to the side, because that pen will scratch into your paper and you won't get an even flow. So hold your pen as vertical as possible. And this is for the exercises. Obviously, when you get to actual sketching, you can turn it around a little bit, trying to get a different kind of, basically, line quality, you can say. But try to keep it vertical. For the first 3 vertical lines that I put down, and I've marked them as line, arc, and waves. This is going to be one of your more tedious exercises, but the more you keep up with this, the better control you'll have with the pen, and just your sketching in general will improve. Now, the thing with the pen is, like I said, it builds up confidence. Now, I'm not saying this is a dogma or it's, this is the only way you can draw. After you've learned this class, take what you've learned, absorb it, create a hybrid, from what you've already learned, add upon, so that what works in here for you, use it. What doesn't, just drop it. All this stuff I've mentioned before as well. So with the line, with one sheet, you're going to go 2 inches out, horizontally. And then you can do several of these. And after drawing one line out, you're going to go over that line, the 2-inch line, 8 times over, without breaking it. So I don't want to see this. Frayed edges, I don't want to see that. It's about steady control. It's got to be one consistent line, 8 times over. And it's going to be about speed. If you rush it, it's going to fly over the place. If you're too slow, your hand's going to shake. You're going to get the squiggly line. 8 times over. Do several of them, down the page. After you've done your 2-inch line, go half the page. Now this is representing like a full page right here. Go half the page, same thing, 8 times over. After you've done a half page, full page. No straight edges, no rulers in this class, no ellipse guides, nothing of that sort. This is all freehand. You're going to mess up a lot, and I want you to. Be frustrated, be angry with it, but don't stop. Continue to push forward. You're going to hit plateaus at certain times as an artist or as a designer. You'll get to a certain point you'll feel like you're not learning too much. You just got to keep pushing it, and it's all about, again, mileage. The more you practice with it, the more you understand it, the easier it becomes. Next section. Arcs. Basically the same idea with the lines, except 2 inches out, you're just arcing the line. And it's the same deal. 8 times over. 2 inches, half page, full page. You could change this around as well. You can bring it up. And this is about consistency, being able to hit those lines over and over again. You'll notice, maybe this is the way you draw right now, and I notice this is the way a lot of students that come into my class draw, is that when you're trying to find the form, you're just trying to sketch and trying to find this circle. I'm talking about hit it once. And it's that line confidence is that what you need, so that builds speed, so you don't have to sit there thinking what you want to put down. You've already thought of what you're going to put down. Your hand's already done it. Arcs, waves. The more waves you have, the more difficult it is. Change it up. It's to challenge your brain, challenge your arm. Line, arcs, and waves. For this week, for homework, I'm going to have you guys practice these and the next set of exercises for you guys to do for the week, so that when I see it, hopefully I'll know that you guys are, doing exactly as I tell you. Moving on real quickly. The next set I want you guys to do ellipses. You may find these hard and frustrating, but this is just the first step. This is just to introduce you to the pen itself. Getting here, again, no guides, no ellipse guides or anything. And I say this is difficult, but this is what's going to give you trouble every single class, even into the advanced classes, or even as you continue as a designer, years to come. Ellipses, freehand drawing them, will always be difficult. And ellipses are going to apply to everything that we draw. Organic stuff, mechanical stuff, plants, animals, machines, tanks, planes. Ellipses and circles, all of those shapes consist of that. And speaking of which, I want to give you guys those 5 forms. And these 5 forms I kind of want to use later on in our later meetings, but I want to just give you them because these are the foundational shapes. The 5 shapes: circle, cylinder, cube, cone, and pyramid. With these 5 shapes, there's nothing you can't draw. With these shapes, I can morph them, contort them, push them to become shapes that I want to draw a giraffe, to draw a P-40 Warhawk, whatever. But this circle and ellipse is where we're going to apply here. And again, it is the hardest shape to hit. For this exercise, vertical line down, horizontal lines out. And this is just a grid system. I'm going to draw your first ellipse. It's your circle. You're going to draw one right next to it. And continue out. Change the scaling, small, Enlarge. Practice this every day. And it will not come easy at first. The thing about the circle or ellipse is you have to go through the motion first. You're going to wonder, how do I place my hand? A lot of people use their wrist as its stability or their elbows. I use my wrist, elbows up. And that's for small ellipses. When I go larger, I'll switch it. I'll either lift my hand on my elbows so that my wrist is not touching so it's free, or have my whole arm free so I can have full motion. You'll want full motion mainly because you want to go through the motion of that circle or ellipse. Once you're confident with that shape, then you put it down. And I call that truing up. As you go through the motion, once you're confident with that, place a marker down, go through it a couple of times, and then true it up. And it's okay to have several lines. You just want to try to make sure you're accurate with your ellipse. I don't want you sitting there trying to figure out how to hit that ellipse once, because you're going to mess up and it won't match up. Go through it several times, put it down. And do this a lot on scrap paper, any kind of paper you find, just to practice your ellipses. Good exercise. Once he's on circles, ellipses. You don't have to rush through these. Take it slow. After you've done a set of these, continue. Push as far as you can. Let's do one bracket where you do a circle, bring a center line down. Your second circle is going to come in and match that line. Your third one is going to come and match this one. You continue so forth. And repeat that over and over and over again. These are all exercises, and I'm going to show you more and more exercises as we go along. Your lines, arcs, waves, and ellipses are going to be your homework for this week. Push it as far as you can. There's not a set limit of pages. I'd like to see a minimum of at least 6. That'd be great, but the more the better. Minimum for my class when I grade, minimum is 6, but that's just minimum. And with this class, minimum never is good enough, so push harder. 5 forms, practice that as well. I'll show you more on how to combine these shapes. As we continue, I'm going to draw and show you guys more on this board and show you how to actually start to apply them. And we'll go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first part of it, and this is a good introduction. Get used to using the pen. Draw a lot with it. Start with the homework. Don't go any more beyond than that. You have to take it step by step. So enjoy, have fun with it, and I will see you guys next week. Send your guys' stuff, and I'm going to take a look at it, review it. If you have any questions, you can always ask me, whatever questions they are. It doesn't matter if it's about the materials. If you have questions about different kinds of materials you want to use because you don't have access to the ones we're using, tell me so that I know what you guys are doing. Any other questions in terms of drawing on the board or what I'm actually doing on here, ask me as well. So I'm totally open for you guys' critiques and everything, because I want to make sure you guys are comfortable doing what I'm doing as well. So thank you. I'll see you guys then. Okay, guys, before we finished out, I wanted to go over materials real quick. I just wanted to show you in person what they actually are. This is the main sketchbook I use. This is made by Canson, and it's just a brown paper, relatively thick. Why I like it thicker is because it absorbs marker much better. If you go with a thinner earthbound sketchbook, they tend to bleed right through. So Stick with a thicker sheet if you can. If you go to a local paper store, if you have access to one, you can find these loose leaf, so you can buy them in packs. Whatever you can find can be great as long as it's toned. The main pen itself is Staedtler pigment liner. These are felt tip pens, and if you can't find Staedtlers, go with microns or any other kind of felt tip pen that you can go with. I do allow different colors. This is black. You can go with brown. Those are the main two that I usually go with. You can go with a more redder or more of a bluish color, but stick with the black or the browns. Different sizes, going from 0.1 up to 0.7. Don't go too thin. Most out of these materials, the main pen that I use is the 0.3. 0.3 is my primary pen. Going up 0.5 helps me go darker, but I stick with 0.3. 0.1 I tend to avoid, and I don't draw strictly with it. I only use 0.1 if I need fine details. So go with 0.3 or 0.5. 1 is only for detail use. 0.7 is your thickest pen, and that's going to be just for your blackest blacks, your darks. So this one, I can draw with a 7 like I draw with a 3. So it's all about pressure control, but 7 is also, I leave to the side for my darks. Other tools, this is a white gel pen. This is made by Uniball, and it's just a white gel ink. I'll show you how to use this as well. If you can find any kind of white gel pen, go with it. Test them out on this brown paper. Just go to an art store, find a scrap piece, and see how it just looks on the paper. Opaque, the better. Warm markers. These are Blick. You can go with Prismacolor, like I said, a couple of other brands, but whatever marker you feel more comfortable with, go with them. Multiple tips, the better. Before we part, I wanted to show you guys what it looked like actually on paper, because it can be a little deceiving on the chalkboard when I'm going up there, putting up different colors and shade and highlights. So let me do a couple demos for you guys on the paper itself, just to give you, a sense of what I'm actually expecting from you guys. 0.3. Line. Remember those 3 steps? Going 2 inches out, half the page, full page. And the idea was that if you have a line, I don't want you guys squiggling or fraying or speeding, going too slow, steady pace. And the idea is keeping your pen vertical, 30 degrees, don't alter it too much. When you're trying to control a lot, keep your wrists locked on the paper and slide it along the paper. If you guys are left-handed and you're drawing this way, just flip the paper. Right-handed, rings on top or rings to the side. If it's bound, same idea. Keep it steady. One continuous line. 8 times over. Same deal. Halfway, full page. If you tend to bend or basically alter the angle of your pen, you'll kind of scratch and you won't get a very consistent line. You'll start to break up. And that's why I say keep it vertical. Ideally, paper like this can be expensive, so if you have scrap, white pieces of paper, whatever laying around, type paper, practice on that. That's okay. It's a full page, same idea. And the thing is that when you're putting the pen on the paper, don't focus where your pen is making contact with the paper. Look a little bit ahead. Look where the line is coming. So your pen is over here. I'm looking up about here, making sure I know where I'm going. Again, tedious, and it's time consuming. You've got to be steady, not too slow, not too fast. And you're going to shake a bit, and you're going to find that it's going to be a little bit inconsistent as you go along. But the more and more and more you do it, the more steady and more clean it becomes. If you end up with this, it's all right at first. Learn to control the pen a little bit more. Ellipses. Like I was saying, different kinds of hand positions. When you're up close, my wrist is touching the paper. When I go a little bigger, I'll lift, using my finger, my pinky finger as a guide. That's the only contact I have. Going through the motion, making sure you're confident with it, even if you don't place a mark on the paper. Just go through that motion, memorizing what that feels like. As you feel more confident with it, put it down. And then true it up. Go through the motion, true it up. Practice this constantly. Over and over and over again. With the line, going back to it again. Different ways of doing it. We had the line, we have the arc, and the wave. Paper is going to be for your line, split all the way down. When it comes to the ellipses, just pick a certain area and go with it. Again, practice this a lot. We'll come back to these later. I just want to make sure you guys have these on hand. You can play with them a little bit if you want to, but I want to show you how to really use them a little later on when we get to more of the shapes, forms, organic, and geometric. Homework this week, 6 pages total. First, 3 pages, line work, practice this a lot, including arcs and waves. Next 3 pages, practice your ellipses. Circles, angled ellipses, different perspectives, or I guess just degrees of angles. Change them up. Increase the size and scale. Challenge yourself. But I want you guys to fill them up. Your pages, fill them up with ellipses. 3 pages total. 3 of line,